Hey, everybody. All right. So we are back at a lovely day in Oakland for a lovely day for conversation. This is a conversation series where we're talking to local artists, people in the music industry, just talking about community, talking about music, and just moving things from there. This time around, well, actually, before I get there, my name Sean, bar for bar. We got DJ Ambush,
What's
drums
up?
and
What's up?
ammo,
Drums and ammo. What it
and
do?
our guest today is Scino.
Yo, what's going on?
Hey, Scino, how you doing?
I'm pretty good, man. Monday, getting to it.
Mm-hmm.
Bay Area lifestyle. We still got to pay the bills, but I'm here. Thanks for having me.
Most definitely.
Beautiful space. So I'm just grateful
Grateful for you to be here too,
for sure. Appreciate
because
y'all.
I'm excited to hear your insight into what we're going to talk about today.
Oh yeah. How y'all doing though?
Huh?
How are y'all?
Shoot, I'm okay.
I'm good. Once everything is running, I'm good.
Yeah.
Got
So,
you.
you know what I mean? Once everything's set in motion, I'm good.
Yeah, but
Excited.
no. I think overall pretty good though.
Okay,
Yeah.
for sure. That's good to hear.
Thanks for asking.
Of course. I do this too, so
Yeah, okay.
got to.
You got to have a little bit of a back and forth there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Skino, for those of us out here who may not know, or even who do know, who are you?
That's a loaded question. But as far as, I feel like my role in the Bay Area, I do feel like I am a tastemaker in the Bay Area. I started doing like promoting shows, I want to say in 2016 with my cousin's collective, Legend Live Forever, based out of San Francisco. So I was doing that. So I essentially started off as an event curator, and now I consider myself an executive producer. So it's kind of a journey that I've been on. So, but yeah, for the most part, I'm a creative father, a friend. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've been in the same circles for a while, and I
Yeah.
mean, I always see what you're promoting and doing. So you're busy.
No,
to say the
definitely.
least.
Definitely. At least try to stay busy,
Mhm.
and not just look busy. I like to actually be productive. I may not post everything that I do, but at the same time, just kind of give people a glimpse that do care, because there are people out there that are watching. We don't always know that they're watching us, but they're watching us. So I always like to give a sliver of something that I'm still doing. Just to keep them on their toes.
Straight up.
Let people know that you're still doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, the reason that you followed me, I'm still doing that. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
exactly. Don't even trip. It ain't gonna stop.
You know, that's always good to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
Because life gets busy. There's a whole lot of other things that you got going on,
Right.
and I mean, shoot, we're in the Bay Area,
Right.
You can't do just
One thing. No, you're crazy if you're doing that.
Yeah, you got to keep hustling. You got to do multiple things,
Yeah,
multiple
get you a
streams of
couple
income.
hats,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, we can go straight into the music from there. I mean, you mentioned that. I guess you kind of put yourself more into an A&R sort of role.
In a sense, yeah. I mean, I feel like I don't really like using the A&R title, because I feel like it minimizes what I actually do. So if I was to tell somebody I was an A&R, they would just assume that I'm just in the studio with the artist, but I'm a DJ, So when I say I'm a tastemaker, I do feel like I am a person with just good music taste, and I feel like having good music taste is sometimes the entryway into the music industry, and I feel like I was doing event curation at first, and no disrespect to any of the DJs I've booked, but I just felt like I could do a great job as well as save money and pay artists. So that was my thing. I wanted to actually showcase artists in the Bay Area and at least have them walk away with something. I got tired of not being able to pay, because my overhead was ridiculous. You got to pay for the bar. You got to pay for the venue. Sometimes you're paying for security to throw your own show. So it's a lot of overhead that goes into it. So me becoming a DJ was just me looking out for the artists as well, but then also my own pockets to ensure that the event went on. And so through that, you just kind of meet a lot of people. And the network I've grown just over the past 7 years is just kind of been tremendous. And it isn't just in the Bay Area, but this is my focal point. This is where I learned to love music and love. This was the first rapper I met was in the Bay Area, So meeting rappers locally, they were stars to me, So being who I am in the Bay Area now, not to sound arrogant, but being who I am now, it's full circle for me, because I'm able to put people on stage. I'm able to connect people. It's people that I didn't work with that and got signed already. So just things like that, it makes me feel good and it's fulfilling at the same time. Because I'm not necessarily the artist. So just seeing other people win is always something that I just look forward to it, honestly.
Oh, that's hella dope.
Yeah.
And I guess straight from that, like, where do you think that drive to kind of help promote your locals?
Yeah.
And just I guess, I mean, I get the reason, like, oh yeah, you love the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I get that too, but like, what? Because there's hella people who they love the Bay Area that they're
Yeah.
from, but they don't necessarily help uplift it. Like,
Right.
what do you think really kind of drove you to do that?
So essentially, shout out my cousin Kid Red. His dad was the games manager, the game from LA. He was the games manager, and this was like 2003 or 2002. I was able to actually see not necessarily the start and finish, but necessarily like the incline of the game's career. So being able to
that's
hear,
when he was out here doing the mixtape stuff, right?
yeah, he was with JT the Bigger Figure, and
That's right.
but he had the Black Wall Street in LA.
That's right.
That was his home, but he was up here fucking around, and just being able to see that, seeing him go from literally nobody to on 50 Cent's label, which was G Unit, which was the biggest label at the time, as an 11-year-old, to see somebody go from nothing to something. I had How We Do, we had Higher, and West Side Story on a blank CD. That was the demo. So hearing those records before they actually blew up is what I want to say gave me the motivation. That's when I knew I wanted to be in music. And then shortly after, kind of the same network, your boy, his name Rich Rocka now, he had 16s with me. And so, same cousin, his pops signed Rich Rocka down and moved him down to LA, and he became Rich Rocka. So for me to actually see those instances happen at a young age in the Bay Area, it made me want to be that guy, honestly. It made me want to be that guy to be able to bring somebody in to $1 million room. Like, I'm not there yet, but I want to get there because I just seen what it did for people. It changed their lives. It changed their family lives. It changed the trajectory of their career just by getting in the room or meeting the right person. So I just want to be a dot connector, and I feel like that's what fuels me the most, is knowing that I can introduce you to somebody that can change your trajectory.
Kind of, like you said, connecting the dots, making
Yeah.
sure like you see where the potential is.
Yes.
Like,
Like-
well, you've seen it.
Yes, but understanding that the vision is going to be different for everybody, right? So me having that instance at 11, I'm grateful for it because I seen that it takes more than just one person, right? You're not going to blow up by yourself, and I feel like a lot of artists in the Bay Area, they get in this mindset of blowing up on their own, or they don't have anybody, or, but you do need a network of people that have resources available to you. Sometimes that's just being able to go to the studio when you feel creative, not necessarily having to wait 3 weeks until you get paid, or, like, these are actual gripes that artists have. And rather than asking, their network of people, can you help me? I feel like we fall short because we try to do everything on our own,
That seems to be a common thread.
Yeah.
We talked about it on a couple of these.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's a gift and a curse, right? Because I was doing journalism at one point at All In Radio, and shout out to them. But I also wanted something of my own, and I feel like I could have stuck around, and still continued, but I did want something of my own, and I feel like that can be crippling, because I haven't did content in a year because I'm planning on doing, and I could have stuck with them. So I'm being vulnerable with y'all right now, but it's just like we all do it. We all want to be independent. We all want ownership because in the Bay Area, we don't really have anything. So we all want to own a piece of something, just a piece of something, even if it's just a name, even if it's just a clothing line, or sometimes it's just a social media page, right? It's just some people are making meme pages, but they own it though. Like it's there in a sense, right? They own it. They can dictate what's getting posted on there. They have a lot of following on there. It's a platform. So just being independent in the Bay, it could be crippling, but I still find it fulfilling. It keeps me, it gets me out of bed every day,
I mean, and touching on, people in the Bay or just artists in general, I guess, wanting to be independent. Like, I guess creating the spaces for the artists to go to and fuel their creativity and connect them with other people. I guess, how do you feel like you're...
Hey, keep that mic.
Oh, my
Keep that mic
bad.
in front of you. Stay in front of the mic. Yeah.
Yeah, but how do you feel like you're able to kind of continue to contribute to that? You're just finding the right people in general, like making sure that that's all good there.
It's more so intentionality, right?
Sure.
Like you can want to do whatever you want to do, right? But putting the intention with it is like you wanting to do something, but what do you intend to gain from it, right? And I feel like sometimes a lot of us, right, we do things for money, which is understandable, right? But when you're creating art, you have to be considerate that when money is in the room, the creativity kind of leaves. It's like once people start talking about money and how much they're getting paid before the product is actually done, we never get to execute. And I feel like that keeps us from a lot of collaborations in the Bay Area because people want to get paid, which is, I understand it, but we are not in the space for everyone to get paid. It's just the truth, right? And I feel like if we did a lot more collaboration, and not necessarily like free, but a barter. So if I know a producer and an engineer, so the engineer may have an artist they're working with, and my producer has beats. So they need production, we need studio time, and it's like a give and take type of thing. And I feel like we don't look at it through that scope anymore. I feel like it's just, can you benefit me or not?
Hey, the Bay,
not even what I can do.
The Bay's game. The Bay's game. It's game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're not really, the art is not always put in the front like that,
No, I mean,
but then it gets into, so it gets into like, oh man, everybody takes stuff from the Bay. We create everything. You know what I mean? But, all right, so, and we create everything and everyone else runs off and blows up with it. So does that mean that we didn't have game, or we didn't have the game that was needed to thrive and
like kind of keep people and like the best stuff here?
Where did the game go since we create everything? You know what I'm saying?
I genuinely think it's just the organization. There's no real organization of the music industry out here. Like one of the biggest distributors, they may not necessarily hire people from the Bay Area. And it's like certain things like that can kind of stifle us because we aren't in the building. Like we're actually on the ground floor, grassroots, but we're not in the biggest building making decisions, and I feel like that can hinder us. But it's the ownership piece, right? Because at the end of the day, we can't dictate who gets hired anywhere, right? So even that piece, but you just kind of at least want some leeway, right? And I feel like as a pedestrian, I feel like we don't have the resources available to us because of the track record previously. Like there are the people before us, not everyone, but they can kind of ruin it for the next generation, and if it's maybe not keeping your word or just disrespectful, or you're just not doing square business, doing good business, and I feel like that hinders us a lot, even outside of the Bay. It's like, let's say go to New York and somebody ran off on somebody in New York. It's like they'll never mess with somebody from the Bay again, just off that one instance, so you got to understand that when you do leave the Bay, you are representing the Bay, and I don't feel like we all wear that jacket like we should, like Marshawn Lynch, he represents the Bay everywhere he goes,
Heavy.
And I just feel like we all have to take that pride if we want to get some progress, and that's in the film industry, that's in fashion, music specifically, because I feel like it's the most moving industry. Like music gets people out of bed. It gets them through their workday, through depression, through excitement, through heartbreak, through love. So I feel like with music, we just kind of need to own the artistry a little bit out here. Like, be authentic. Like, you don't necessarily got to chase a hit record, because what's a hit? A hit record is a minute and 30 seconds nowadays, So if you just want to continue making a minute, 30-second songs.
Oh, yeah. You can do that all day.
Yeah, like if that's what you want to do, there's a lane for you. But if you actually want to be an artist, I feel like we have to create that space for it to not be like corny. Because you look at somebody being an artist and you're taking it too serious. And it's just like, well, what do you expect them to do? Like, they're an artist. They love this. So it's like, for me, just kind of creating a space where artists can be taken serious and they can take themselves serious. So it's like, whatever they want to do, just ensuring that they have that space to execute their vision. And I feel like that's where I come in, because a lot of people have a vision. They just need someone to say that's not good, or that's actually fire, or that's actually, you know what, I got an idea that I can add to that. And sometimes I feel like that is what gets people to the next level, is just presenting your idea to someone and they're saying, hey, this is how I can help you. And you go from there.
Yeah, and also, I guess, on the artist being able to take the constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, artists are, everyone's sensitive.
Yeah.
But, like, when it's your art, you're especially more like, oh, don't talk anything bad about it. Like,
right.
Like, I worked hard on this.
Right.
But it's like, like, people are actually out there to help.
Right. And I feel like we do get away from, like, the constructive criticism piece, because we are sensitive beings, and this is sensitive times, but you have to be able to take constructive criticism, because even if you don't agree, you'll be able to utilize that information somewhere down the road. You may become a manager, or you may become a producer, and this same advice that you didn't take may actually work for this person. So that wealth of knowledge that you gain over time is going to come in handy. So it's just kind of like being open-minded. Like, don't be so closed off to change, and if someone on the outside, they're telling you what they see. So you may not see what they see just because you're looking at yourself. But them looking at you, they're like, well, you could actually did this, or you could actually did this, or even if you like watching sports, like, you can't actually see yourself moving, but you can see like, oh, I rose above the rim on the replay, but in the moment, you didn't really realize that. Mm-hmm. You didn't realize how high you jumped. You didn't realize that you actually almost lost the ball until the replay. So it's things like that a spectator is able to give you that perspective on, and you just have to be open to it. You don't necessarily have to listen to everything, but just be open to it, and don't be as combative, especially if you asked. Like, if you ask for critiques and you get mad at the response, that is crazy. Like, like if you,
That's real though. That's real.
Like I said, it's crazy. I don't want to get into any personal stories, but it's one of those types of things where you can't be tender. Like, if you want to be better, you're gonna have to be coached. And if you feel like you are at the top of your game already, what are you asking for critiques for? So it's one of those types of things where you got to be real with yourself, so.
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's good advice for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, not even just for people in the Bay Area, the artists, like, in anything you do.
Yeah.
Like, if you're asking for help, don't get mad at it, obviously.
Right.
But also, it's like, you should, I mean, it's good to be open to it,
mm-hmm.
and accepting it properly. I guess going from that into still the music stuff. I think we briefly spoke on the phone about some of the things that we wanted to touch on.
Right.
How does that play into artists who want to fully remain independent? Like, do you feel like, I mean, I imagine they would have to kind of go through the same sort of deals where like they're talking to people, like getting ideas throughout the whole process. But at what point do you feel like it's better for them to stay fully independent versus signing to a label versus,
Good question.
what their next move should be and what they should be doing in the moment, I guess.
Okay. So
I know kind of a lot.
no, it is, but it's a great question, right? And I feel like in this day and age, independence looks totally different when we don't have tangible products. So if we don't have tangible products to sell, your independence is you coming up short because your music isn't being sold. You know? So if your music isn't being sold, how independent are we, right? And so that leads me to direct to consumer. So if you are going to be independent, you should at least figure out a game plan to actually know who you're selling to, knowing your demographic, knowing your fans, because you can have 1 million streams and no one actually know who you are, right? And in this day and age, like we've seen Drake, he's suing Universal for bots, for Kendrick Lamar, and I personally feel like the whole industry, that's marketing. So you can't really sue for you can, I guess, but it's marketing essentially. So if your music isn't being sold, but it's just being marketed, you're only just getting exposure, you know. And I feel like there's no real independence without capital coming in.
Yeah.
Because if you can't actually put forth your own dollar to execute your idea, that isn't independence, you know. And I feel like we kind of get into this space of, oh, he has a management deal, or he has a distribution deal, or he has a something type of deal, and it's like if you have a deal, you're not independent, and it's okay. And I feel like a lot of people cosplay as independent because that's like the trendy thing to do.
It's what the cool kids are doing.
It's the cool kids are doing it, right? Everyone's independent, everybody's rebelling against the establishment and things like that. So, but you have a 360 deal with a management company or an investor, and that's not being it's not being explained. Like, and it's okay that you have a deal, but just you could let the people know that, hey, I did get some capital to pursue my dreams, you know. And I feel like those types of things get lost on the consumer, because now the consumer is comparing an independent artist to an artist that has a budget, and they're listening to the music like, I like this independent artist, but this artist with a budget just is more popular, and I seem cooler.
That's it.
To like this mainstream artist than the independent artist, because the independent artist, my friends don't know them and they tell me to turn the shit off, but the mainstream, they're all in our playlist, and you know, we can build on that. And I feel like I always say this: we have to be better consumers. You know, like not just in the Bay Area, but everywhere. Like what we spend our money on, just have to be intentional. You know, if you want artists to be better artists, stop buying the rinky dink stuff, you know, because they'll stop making it if they're not making no money off of it. You
Put
know,
your money where your mouth is.
Exactly. You know, and I feel like what we've done with Free Play Music Group, shout out Troy LF, Pussy, Ugly Marco. We got 13 Stowe over there, Journey Be the Reason, R&B. Like, what we've been doing is building the blueprint and just giving it away. So we were using, so Troy LF, he dropped Free Play 4 in 2020. You actually was our first like coverage on that. So I'm super appreciative of that.
Of course.
Just recollecting, like, you know, in 2020, we did a cereal box, and it was his goal to release 5 projects in a year. So he had his own artistic goal. It wasn't necessarily about the exposure or gaining more fans. It was, I want to release 5 projects, and how can I do it? Because during Christmas time, no one's at DistroKid, no one's at TuneCore.
Yep.
Like, they're on vacation, you know, and a lot of artists don't even know that. So us knowing that, we game plan, and we use a website. It was called Byta, BYTA, and it's a file sharing website where you can essentially put your album up like you can stream it, but it's a direct link to whoever buys it.
Yeah.
You know, so they can't send it out to anyone else. It's just kind of encrypted to it for them.
Oh, so you could just listen to it.
You could just listen to it, or you could download it.
Oh, okay.
You know, so that was our niche in like 2020, and then we basically developed the blueprint. And I was just teaching people that never had released a project. Like 13 Stowe, his first project, he doesn't even know what it feels like to not make money off his music, because his first album, we sold it. You know, so just kind of setting that precedent for any artist that I work with is go get paid for your stuff if you want to. Like, if you want to just have people rent your music like Blockbuster, that's cool. Like, that's exposure, that's marketing, but don't put everything on there. Like, once you put everything on there, like, you're just too accessible now. So it's like when people discover you, you want them to be able to find gems, you know, find things that may not be available to everyone else, or it may not be as accessible. It may not be as right in your face because you have these other channels that you can you have deliverables to, you know? So I feel like an artist should just kind of look at the full scope of what they want to do. And because there's nothing wrong with signing to a label, but read your contract. And I don't feel like a lot of artists are reading contracts now. You know, they just kind of like, I want 50,000 advance, I'll take it.
Yeah, they see the money and they're like, all right.
But they just signed you for 5 albums, you know, and those 5 albums is not 5 albums that you make in a year. It's 5 albums over 7 years maybe. And once you start doing that type of math, it's like in 7 years, I could have made $1 million just selling my music, you know?
And it would be, and more than likely be stuff that you actually want to put out.
Exactly. Exactly. And I feel like the label system, it is beneficial. You know, like we even were talking off camera about Doechii and TDE, but that's real like artist development, because if you're just now discovering Doechii in 2024, it's no problem. But she has been putting in the work since about, when I would say 2019, 2020, you know, and she's from like Florida. So for TDE to even invest that time and capital into someone that they didn't necessarily know, it was the talent that stood out. And I feel like that is what's going to take us to the next level, is the talent standing out. And like for me, I can rap, right? But I'm not a rapper. And I know that I'm not a rapper, but I'm not competing with my rapper friends because I can be their manager or I can be their DJ. I can still make my music, but I don't necessarily have to put that hat on and compete, because there's an abundance of talented people. And I feel like there needs to be more people like us that just be like, hey, I'm talented, but this guy might have it.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like once we get to that space of just everybody being realistic with themselves, which is, it might be far-fetched, but at the same time, that's just my goal of like showing people that you don't have to be in the mix. You don't have to be in the front all the time. You can play the background and you can still see some success, and success looks different for everybody, you know? So for one, to answer your question, figure out what success looks like for you. Is it fame? Is it, you know, people being impacted by your music? Is it having fans? Is it kids enjoying your music? Like really figuring out what it is you want to gain from being an artist. And then I feel like you'll land on whether you want to sign to a label or stay independent.
Yeah. Dropping gems.
I want to interject, like when you were saying that the Bay Area, like I feel like the Bay needs more, like you're saying, people that are choosing that position. Because like we're talking about Rick Rubin, and like if you go to, you know, if you grew up listening to New York or East Coast music, they have famous engineers. We can, you know, they have, you know, like famous producers. They have famous photographers. They have famous videographers, you know? So I feel like in the Bay, we need to uplift every chamber. Like there needs the producers need to be just as, you know, just as famous. They need to be able to walk in some place and be like, oh,
get a free beer or something.
Yeah, like this is the producer, and they need to be able to like pull in hundreds of people. Everybody knows Young Guru. If you listen to Jay-Z, Guru, like, we don't have that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know people are going to watch it. Yes, we
What
do
about
have
me?
that. Yeah.
I know we got a couple comments like that.
Yeah, which is cool. You know what I mean? But
Shout out
that's
to
what
y'all.
we're trying to create this discourse anyway. So it's good to see people get in the comments and be like, you're wrong completely.
Good.
But
we want to be wrong.
There needs to be engineers that are like, oh, I mixed this. And they need to be household names next to the artists, whoever they're producing. So
I agree.
And there needs to be, you know, managers that we could look at and go, oh, that's a manager, and I can see they're succeeding, their artist is succeeding. So I want to do that, as opposed to like, what do you want to do? Rap.
Yeah.
That's it. I just want to rap. You know what I mean? So
No, yeah.
It's kind of like they don't even go into why.
I don't know. That's
It's
like,
like-
what you want to do?
Well,
Rap.
sometimes they do, but
I feel like with rapping, I feel like rapping is just fun.
fair.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't even blame people for
Truly.
wanting to rap.
True.
Honestly. I blame them for taking it serious when they know it's not good. Like, we could freestyle all day and like have a ball.
Yeah.
But not everything needs to be recorded and put out and presented. You know, and I just feel like there needs to just be that realization of like, this is just a hobby. Like, you know, like this is just a hobby of mine. Like, I love it. I love music, but I'm not a rapper. Like, I'm a mechanic. Like, I love cars. But you know, I'm gonna go and get some studio time. And people do that, which is cool. You go make your song, but you got friends that are actually like amazing
Yeah.
that you don't even go to their shows. You know, like, and it's like
Yeah.
3 miles from your house, and you like, I've seen you perform before.
Cold game. Cold
It's
It's
game.
like I saw you walking home. I thought you were gonna run right back.
I thought you was coming to my house.
I thought you were just gonna go home and get some water or something.
Right, you know. So it's just things like that. It's like it goes back to just competing. You know, like I don't want to compete with talented people because I know that's not my expert. Like I said, I can rap, but that is not my expertise to try and go against a Kevin Allen or a Pussy or a La Russell. You know, like I'm not even gonna put myself in those conversations. Rex Life Raj, you know, like these people are actually like they take this shit serious. So it's like for me, I take it serious, but I'm not as good as y'all. And you have to be able to say that and just know your role, you know. So
It's the self-awareness.
yeah, that's what we lacking. Self-awareness. You might as well name this episode self-awareness. But yeah, like self-awareness is really the key to everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like with self-awareness, you'll be able to create an authentic product with your self-awareness. Because if you know, like, if you're not from the street and you making street music, I was just saying off camera, conviction. Like, you don't have the conviction in your voice for us to believe you. So you have to be able to hear that yourself. Like, oh, this doesn't even sound believable.
Right. You have to be able to believe yourself before you can get anyone else to do that.
And that's a lot of artistry is just the confidence. And if you can't hear the confidence, you're not going to take it serious. Even if, like, for me, like Gucci Mane hasn't always been the most lyrical rapper, but he's been the most confident to me. So whatever he's saying is like facts. Like it's 100. Chief Keef, like not shitting on him, but it's just like when it comes to lyrics, it's just authentically them. So it's like no matter what they say, I believe it because of the conviction. And I don't feel like artists practice that or they were born with it. Like Tupac, I feel like was just born with that voice.
Was, yeah.
You know, like
Conviction.
whatever Tupac said in his interviews was just potent.
Yeah.
You know, so I just feel like artists don't have those self-talks with themselves where they're like, hey, this is not actually for me. I love music though, but I'm not in the running. And I feel like once you have that realization, you'll find your role because you might be an amazing videographer, but you've been rapping for 10 years. But you've been having an eye, you done directed all your music videos. You didn't book your videographer, he had a treatment, and you had your own treatment, and you like, nah, I actually wanted to do this, but the song wasn't connecting. So it was like, the video was amazing, so the song wasn't connecting though. So you probably should have been a director this whole time. You know, but not having that realization and self-awareness is what's gonna put the industry, and it's just so accessible now. Like you can record a song on your phone, like
No, you're right. I just downloaded the
Bandlab?
Koala app.
yeah, there's so many different
I'm like,
apps.
ooh, I can
Like
sample.
and it's like I love the accessibility. I just want people to take it serious. So like you can record songs on your phone, but take your time in making them and writing them. I don't want to hear a song that you made in 5 minutes because it sounds like you made it in 5 minutes.
That's what everyone always brags about too. Well, I did this in a night. I did it in a couple minutes. Like, yeah, it shows.
Right. And I feel like the quality piece, it gets lost on the creation because of the expectation of output. Like, so you want to drop every year. You want to drop 2 projects a year. So you got to record 30 songs a year if you want to drop 2 projects. And it's like some people can't make 5 good songs. They might have 1 great song, but you don't have 5 good songs, So you have to go through the trial and error. So you might need to record 70 songs.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
To
That's
actually get to
assuming
where
you got
you
30
want-
good ones.
Exactly, and they don't give themselves that much time. So if you've given yourself 6 months to record 2 albums and you just start rapping 5 years ago, I don't know, like you have to have those conversations with yourself and you got to be open to critique because who's greenlighting your music?
Who's saying yes?
Yeah.
Put this out.
And get the yes men out the studio or the yes women. Whoever's actually in the studio with you, get them out the studio.
All right. So you just said studio. Who's in the studio? So this is, this when people talk about, oh man, like, I just knock it out dolo. I'm in my room and I do my thing and boom, I'm just cranking out hits. That's where I feel like we lack when we don't have studios. And I know everybody's, oh man, we don't need a studio. Why do we need a studio? But this is the reason, because we need to be able to have these discussions. I remember one time we were doing a project with artist Da Vinci, and we talked about a 3-second turnaround. We talked about that maybe 2 weeks. Talked about it's like 3 seconds, but it was based off of us coming to the studio and being like, oh man, maybe we should. And it's just, I feel like hip hop, just music in general, but I'm gonna just keep it funky. We talking about hip hop.
Yeah.
We're in the crib, we're in the room, we knock it out. It's done. We're not throwing it around trying to get any extra, critique or perspective on it. So, and this goes into like a bigger discussion of like the OGs and when you have that bridge to be like, the way you're talking now, it sounds like you had cats above you that were like, yo, that's cool, but maybe you should add that. That just, if it exists now, it's at a real low level. It's not like, when that was like protocol.
Right.
Like, we did this song. What do you think about it? What do you think about we should tweak this? That's just not protocol right now.
Yeah.
And that's where we're feeling the kind of the repercussions of not having these spaces. Even spaces like this, spaces that bring artists together to even cross-pollinate the studio. I remember you go to studio, one studio be like, Digital Underground come by.
Right.
Oh, Loonies walk by. Oh, Paris walk by. And this would be one studio, so we missed that. That's part of a, way bigger discussion, but studios, I know.
That's a great point because just like you say, cross-pollinating, just being able to just cross paths and just get that inspiration. Like, I seen him in the studio 12 hours. Like, what he came out with was fire. Or he let me listen to him, what he was working on, and you might not have still no sauce, but it just inspired you to go harder.
Yeah, you
just
got that
because
motivation.
you heard what he had.
you just heard it.
Like, I'm competitive. I'm not gonna steal your lyrics, but I'm gonna go home and try to write something crazier and show it to you the next week. And then this is how we build our rapport. So now we got an album just off you playing me your song that inspired me to go harder. And I don't feel like you say, those spaces don't exist no more. And a lot of people are sending the verses through email, which is cool. And how do you tell somebody over email that you don't like the verse?
Or like a very specific part.
Yeah, it's like the tone in the email. Like you start got to get corporate with them, and it kind of it takes it takes the fun away, you know. And I feel like in the studio, we were just having this conversation. Me and Benner was just having this conversation, like being mindful of that studio psychology and understanding, like, hey, this energy in the room is gonna come out in the music. So if there's like no energy in the room, you're gonna have to bring everything in that booth. But if you got people on the outside, you see them like
that shit bubbling.
You feel me? It just kind of innate for you to just take it there. But when you by yourself, you got to really perform. And if you can perform by yourself, I think those are the ones that are like the elite artists, because you don't need an audience. You got the vision, but sometimes you might need, and that's why sometimes they would bring in ladies in the studio. They would bring paraphernalia because they needed the vibes, you know, which is cool. But you have to be able to create without it as well.
It has to be within you already.
Exactly.
I mean, I've heard that like certain artists, like I mean, the biggest one that always comes to mind is like Tech9, like fully independent, but he started performing and there was like 10 people at the shows, but he's still performing the same way as if where he's at now. He's selling out Red Rocks and shit.
It's like practice how you play.
Yep.
You know, so when you practice how you play, once it's time for the actual game,
it's nothing.
It's just like riding a bike. Like even if you hadn't, I was listening to J. Cole's Inevitable series, and he was just saying like once he gets back on a stage, like a festival stage or something like that, after not performing, he'll get nervous a bit, you know. But once he's actually on that stage, it dissipates, you know, and then, like you say, he locks in. So I just feel like being prepared in performances, right? So we talk about performances. I don't feel like a lot of people take their performance seriously, but I feel like we have to make that our reputation. Like, I went to his show and he rocked it. I went to her show and she rocked it. She wasn't performing over her backing track. And I feel like we, as the Bay Area, have to like just kind of take on that responsibility of telling our peers, like, hey, stop rapping over your backing track. Stop rapping over the song.
Yeah.
Go to rehearsal. It's Soundwave over in West Oakland.
Go get it.
It's 35 hours an hour. Go rehearse.
Yeah.
That's
it.
it.
A lovely day. You come right here.
Because you can come to Lovely Day rehearse.
Straight up.
You feel me? So it's just like having those conversations with your peers, like, go practice. Like, LeBron, they don't just go to they work out. They don't just go to the game. Like, what do you think they do before the game starts? They warm up and they put them shots up, you know? So I feel like as artists, we got to take that same approach and just practice how you play, you know? So if you going to be an artist, work on your jump shot, which could be work on your stage presence, work on your crowd engagement, work on your breathing control. One tip I even want to give out is if you're a rapper and you in the gym, you should be rapping on a treadmill.
Yeah.
You should be rapping on a treadmill. That should be an exercise right there. Just because it helps your breathing, for one, in your stamina. So I learned that from Stunnerman 02. So
yeah. No, that's a good one.
Yeah.
We got to clip that. We got to make one of the clips right there.
For sure.
That's the realest, man. Just the performance.
Yeah.
I mean, just to give some context, like when Fuji started, the first album wasn't good. We didn't have internet, so it was like every month. But the show though, the show was scorching. So it allowed them the time to be like, okay, the music wasn't there. Then they had a remix for one song called Nappy Heads, and then that went up, and then the performance was already there. So once they had a song to hit with the way they performed,
perfect marriage.
Out of control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's the realest, man.
Yeah.
It's the realest.
That's the preparation.
I met Ray Murray from Organized Noise, produced Outkast. I met him in L.A. when we were recording Raphael Sadiq's album, and he told the whole story about how he made Outkast when they were like 13 years old. They would jog and literally just do verses as they're jogging. So that's the kind of like the grueling, chamber they put them through.
It's all the practice
to get them where they needed to be.
Yeah.
And then when it started popping off, they were ready to tear it down. So yeah, that's a major. The Bay, turn them vocals off, man. Get them vocals. I mean, come on, man. At least, it ain't
even just the vocals.
If you can keep
They performing over the MP3.
Jeez,
Like, they performing over the MP3. It ain't even just vocals, no. It's like literally the song.
Yeah, like
they're on Spotify with it. Like,
yeah.
And it's like, bro, take yourself serious. And I feel like people would take you serious. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that are putting on amazing shows. Like, they're putting on amazing shows. But there's a vast majority when you go to these shows and they're like performing over their song. And I just wanted to say that it just takes away from the performance. People can't necessarily hear what you're saying because you're competing with the track. And that's just some game. That's not me shitting on nobody. It's just literally like I can't hear what you're saying because you're competing with yourself on stage. And you never know what that sound system is going to be like when you show up. So just be mindful of that.
Right, especially if they don't show up to sound check.
Right. Let's not get started on sound check.
Now you're just pulling the string.
Yeah.
Hey, you didn't show up for sound check anyway.
Right.
And
why do you
rap
think
it
you're
over
gonna sound good?
MP3.
Man.
So, what grounds do you have to even complain about anything? Like
They damn near got to get banished. I ain't going to lie.
Anyway. It's cold games. Cold.
Yeah. But while we were talking about that, first of all, it's not just the Bay Area that's doing that, of course. Like everyone else is using backing vocals, and that's kind of lame, all things considered. But going back to the Bay specifically, I just wanted to mention Casey Cope. Like, he's the first artist that came to my mind when you're talking about like an actual performance for someone from the Bay.
Get busy.
And I couldn't stay for the DNA Day set, but like every time I've seen him, he's going crazy. And he puts on a show, no matter how many people are there.
And I feel
and
like
he'll be here too.
that's what matters. It's like, because somebody could have been recording them and just posted it. So it's like, imagine if you were given a half effort. That's embarrassing. Like, it has to be embarrassing to get posted and you're given a half effort. So it's like, that's your marketing for your next show. Because your friends might see that and be like, oh, he was going, that's how you doing that at your show now?
Man, I don't want to go to that.
Yeah, like, or I am coming because you look like you giving it your all, and some people just want to witness that, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we went on a long tangent there.
No, definitely.
It's all
I
necessary.
got lost.
And this is like, yes, we could get to the next, but yes, it happens everywhere. But I feel like this is like a family discussion.
For sure.
We're in the Bay Area. This is music. This is hip hop. This is R&B, soul, whatever. So we have to. I think the onus is on us to critique what's happening in our crib. You know what I mean? Try to get it better.
Right.
For sure. I mean, you always want to start on the local level, build up from there. And I mean, if everyone else starts seeing like, oh, people in the Bay are doing it like that, all right, maybe we should also take that. And then we have more sauce to say that y'all stole from.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. See? Yeah, you guys stole everything from us. Rapping with no vocals.
That's
You got
crazy.
that from us too.
Right.
Man.
That being the main thing is crazy.
Man. But just like, just being in the Bay, man, like, I love it. And I want to say it because I'm never like abandoned in the Bay. Like, I had an instance when I was young with Messy Marv, and he was riding around like a brand new Benz, and he was listening to his own music, and just being able to experience that. And I've had multiple experiences with Bay Area rappers that are just prominent out here, but just being able to see his version of success. His version of success was being able to ride around in a brand new car, listening to his own music, and that was his version of success. And Messy Marv is like a legend to me, So for me, I could never leave such a rich culture because I actually had engagements with these people like San Quinn, the Big Riches, the Baileys, your boys, like Nefta Pharaoh, like La Russell now, you feel me? Pilo, like I am Sue. Like I've had engagement with these people. So for me, I can never abandon the Bay Area just because we are so rich in culture. You know, we got Drums and Ammo, we got Bar for Bar podcast. Like I was working with the History of the Bay podcast. Like we have so much history and culture out here that I can't see myself abandoning us for an artist from anywhere. To be honest, like I feel like we have everything that we need out here. We just need a collective conscience to actually push it forward.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of the goal with these.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like this is the start of something great that y'all been doing. You know, this is the third one. Yeah. So
yeah.
So just kind of keeping the ball rolling, and this should inspire more people, you know, to have these conversations, you know, and invite y'all to have the conversation on their platform type shit, you know, because we got to get a perspective, because you got your perspective, I got mine, you got yours, like, and once we put them together, I feel like we'll be able to have some sort of framework for the Bay Area, for sure.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah.
And I mean, I mentioned to Ambush while we were kind of getting everything set up, like I saw you and Bennett talking, like that's the goal.
Yeah.
Get people here, get people talking, cross pollinating.
Right. And to be honest, I don't know he's about to come on, but I didn't even know he did what he actually, like, I know your work.
He started letting you know his pedigree.
Yeah, like,
oh,
but I know your work though, so it's like that make me. It's more of a like, damn, I didn't even know this person was local. Like I thought this was, so that's me discrediting the Bay, but also like, no, we really have amazing people in our backyard that just kind of.
Man, dude, oh no, man.
Yep.
Like, why didn't I know who Bennett was? Like, that's how I feel. Like, you know, I should have known who he was just based off the work. Not that he wasn't credited, but it's just not as prominent to, you know, for the producer or the engineer or some, you know, it's not as prominent out here. But we do need to shine that light on everybody. And we also, as a producer, as an engineer, you are a brand too. So treat yourself as such.
Yes.
You know, so don't just treat yourself as just, I'm just the engineer. Like, no, you are a brand if you want to be.
True indeed.
Yeah.
Man.
Woo. I think that's the part that a lot of people have trouble doing.
Yeah.
They like to downplay themselves a lot.
Yeah.
I know I do.
It's easy to do that.
Yeah.
It's easy, like, it's not easy to tell the camera, like, I do all this shit that y'all might not even believe. Like, I could be lying, right?
Yeah. No, but you got conviction, though.
Right. I like that one right there, yeah. But, yeah, you know, so just having that, I guess, the wherewithal, you know, is what we need, you know, out here. So, but, yeah.
Yeah.
Dropping a lot of jewels right now, man. This is cool.
Right on.
Classes in session.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I love it, bro. Like the Bay Area is home. Like I said, I got instances with pretty much all the Bay Area legends. Like I done met E40 at a baseball game. Like it's just the fact that I'm spiritual. So it's like the fact that I can see the alignment in my life just from a kid, like I said, mentioned in the game, like so going from that point to my cousin rapping and me being in close proximity to him rapping and having posters on my wall of him, Legend Live Forever, and they group, and then them working with Big Rich, and then me developing my own entity, like, you know, and then, you know, like it's coming full circle, but you're able to reflect and the story is what makes it, you know, like I'm gonna be able to tell this story even more in depth in 10 years, you know? So I feel like that's the fulfilling part, knowing that I'm going to have more to talk about in 10 years, a decade from now. So
yeah, it keeps on building.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn. Shoot, I mean, there's a couple other things that we can talk about, but I mean, that it's up to y'all how much we want to go further into.
How y'all feeling?
I'm chilling.
Yeah.
All right, well,
let me give it one question.
Yeah.
What as far as, you know, you DJing, you manage.
And I was going that way anyway, so you're good.
What's that?
I was going that way anyway, you're good.
Well, I was just gonna say, which one? Maybe you did answer this, but which thing did you gravitate toward first?
I gravitated towards just events.
So just was the kind of the entry into the.
Yeah, because I don't want to say I was just a promoter, because I was funding.
You were in the
event.
whole-
Yeah, like I was the operation. So shout out to Bianca and Legendary Tone too. But yeah, I was funding like we did Spread the Wealth. So like my first show that I did was Prada Mac. And then the second one we did was All Black. And this was in 2017. So seeing All Black go from just on YouTube and like he was putting out records, but he ended up getting a distribution deal, getting signed, and then he turned into his own entity
Yeah, started going.
that same year. And that's when I knew, I was like, oh, I can find talent.
You saw that. Yeah, you saw it.
Yeah, like, oh, that is my gift. I can see the seed before it's blossoming.
Yeah.
So being able to see the potential, and I feel like that's what I gravitated towards, is potential, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, you see the spark, you see the seed,
Yeah.
you see what's going on.
Yeah, and I feel like not always having to benefit from it. I just wanted to see it blossom. I just wanted to be right that it would blossom. Just I think you're gonna blow up. Let me book you for a show.
And I think that's kind of, I mean, I know you're just being fully genuine about it, but I think a lot of people may hear that and be like, I don't know, like, what do you want out of this? What are you getting out of this?
Yeah, and most people do want something out of it. But for me,
sure,
it was genuinely like, I love the music, and it goes back to seeing the game go from a demo to G Unit. It's just like, I want to see that, but eventually I'm going to be responsible too. So I feel like this is just the journey until I'm the Rick Rubin, or I'm the Quincy Jones, or I'm, this is the journey, and this is the small steps I got to take. And I'm okay with that because it's fulfilling at the same time. Seeing these artists go from, local to performing on and opening on tours for bigger artists, like, that's dope to me. Like, and I may not necessarily be directly responsible, but I know I contributed. And can't nobody take that from me. Like, knowing you contributed to someone's success is cool. Like, knowing that I helped you get there is cool. Like, you don't have to give me the credit because I was there.
Yeah.
So
you know it. And
yeah,
you did it.
That's fulfilling for me. Like, just seeing people win and knowing that I contributed to it, whether it be a great deal or a small favor it's just like I still helped out, and that's fulfilling for me. So.
And here's the thing, a lesson to the Bay. Nobody wants to really, you can do stuff for people and not expect anything back.
Oh man.
I know this is the Bay, like, we get money, this is where, but there's gotta be some people in this equation that go, man, I just think this is dope. You know what I mean? I think I can do something to push the needle a little bit. You don't have to get anything out of it. I know nobody wants to, everybody, oh man, if I do this, I got to get that. And I understand it, but there's got to be some people that just do it for the art, just for the art.
Got to be some boundaries.
That's it, man.
I agree. Wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly.
I mean, you need that, and you need
that's not the hustle. That's not the hustle mentality. I get it. But there has to be some people without the hustle mentality of trying to hustle art. There's got to be people in there that are just like, boom.
Yeah, the people that are actually looking out for others who want to see them succeed. And that kind of goes into the trust that we were talking about earlier too.
Yeah.
We had a lot of conversations.
And we said that we were going to say this.
Yeah.
We had a podcast before the podcast.
The pre-podcast.
This is podcast.
Maybe we should get like security cam, put it or something.
Yeah, we should. I know, just set the mic up, but yeah, man, we working on it though, and just even with you being in the middle of your artist and ushering in this next wave, that's the type of philosophy we need for the younger cats to come in and gravitate and have something different to pull off of besides, gotta get this money,
Man.
gotta get this.
Because even that get tiring. You chasing money all day long. And it's like, where does it end? Because there's billionaires that still wake up every day trying to make some money.
I gotta get it. Yeah.
And it's like, what you gonna do with $1 billion?
Like, no, man.
Get more.
You can't even spend it
That's not
in your
enough.
lifetime.
I gotta get $2 billion.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, so it when does it end? You know, and I feel like with art, you have to complete a project. Like that's the end of the phase, right? Is once you complete it, you roll it out, present it to the world, you're able to move on to the next. But with money, when you're chasing money, you always gonna want more. It's always gonna be something that you want to buy. Always gonna be a place you want to travel. It's always gonna be, you know. So if you chasing it, you're gonna tire yourself out. And I just feel like once you're putting good art and quality out there, the money is just people are just gonna be paying. Like even like with LaRussell does pay what you want. At first, that was probably like a foreign concept, you know, like pay what you want. Like I don't want people to just pay what they want, but that whole concept has enabled him to even build a bigger audience, you know, and even get involved in tech, you know, as a rapper. Like you're involved in tech now, and I don't think people even see that perspective. Like J. Cole just dropped on Even.
Yep, I saw that whole thing that LaRussell posted about it too.
You know, so he dropped on Even 2022, you know, and so even that is like you never know like the example that you set or the precedent that you set and how it could trickle down or trickle up these days, you know, because mainstream artists are kind of running out of ideas too. So, you know, just kind of like just play your role, you know, and be authentic, be authentically you. And I feel like what separates like a comparison I made, it was like 50 Cent and like Nipsey Hussle, right? So when it comes to like lyricism and things like that, they're not the most lyrical to me, right? But their story is so authentic that whatever they said or whatever they say is just potent. You know, like 50 Cent had his hooks in his like radio records, but a lot of the stuff that we love was just him being him popping his shit, him beefing, whatever it was, that was just him. And you couldn't tell him any different, you know? And I feel like telling your authentic story is what's going to get an artist, whether it be a singer, rapper, whatever type of music you make, just tell your authentic story. And I feel like you'll be in a better space rather than trying to compete. Because I feel like in the 90s, like 2000s, we had Nelly, we had Eminem, we had Method Man, we had Lil Wayne, we had Ludacris, we had all of these people that just sounded differently. Like they do not sound alike at all, you know? So I feel like we need to get back to that state of just being original and not necessarily wanting to fit in or be compared. You know, you can have your contemporaries, but
you can have your influences.
Yeah, but at the same time, just do your own thing. And I feel like tell your story. Like you shouldn't have a bar the same as 10 other people. And if you do, you're not really thinking about your music that much, you know? So just being mindful of what you're putting out there and presenting and what you're putting your name on, you know?
Well, I mean, I think that's a good point to end on, honestly.
For sure.
Well, you know, it's been a pleasure.
Appreciate y'all.
I'm so glad that you came through.
Oh, yeah. Off top, man.
What you kind of briefly mentioned some stuff that you might have going on. Is that something that you wanted to announce yet, or we don't have to?
I am working on a new show with DEO, and my business partner Troy LaLeft. He's my cousin. I'm not gonna play it like, but my business partner Troy LaLeft. You know, and shout out to him too because I wouldn't even be in this shit if it wasn't for Troy. Like. Troy started off playing basketball, broke his knee, and at 17, 18 years old, and he's been grinding ever since, you know, and he had some success in this shit. So it's like to come in and be like his right-hand man, it's a privilege, you know, and we discovered Pussy like 2019, and he's been just grinding, his catalog has been increasing, and so we just, the Three Musketeers, we just been kind of like, going crazy, you know, and I feel like what we got coming, I call it the storm, you know, so the storm is coming, so get your umbrellas, your raincoats, all of that, canned goods, you know.
Puff coat.
Yeah, all of that, you know, your North Face, you know, we in the
North
Bay.
Face,
Yeah.
Right.
Right. But yeah, I appreciate y'all, you know, y'all y'all gonna do some great things with this. I can just feel it in my bones, just even in the conversation, the duality in the conversation, you know, the texture that you have and the texture that you have. I can see this actually going to great places. And I'm not just saying it because I'm on it. I just feel like once y'all actually lock it in, it's to the next level. Just because we need these conversations. And who's having them?
Right.
So
The lane is open, you know. So.
Hey.
Yep. All right. Well, again, thank you so much.
For sure. Thank you.
This was, I guess, technically the fifth full conversation that we've had. So shout out to everyone who's been tuning in. Shout out to everyone who's come through for each different conversation. It's been a great time. And yeah, stay tuned. We got more coming.
Scino.
Scino.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all.